Hey, get them out, hold them up. That's your Sideline Pass. It's good once again, like it is each and every week, right here on the Coaches Show and the Sideline on Buzz TV. Thanks for joining us. You know the guy to my left, that's Lenny Jankowski, athletic director and head football coach at Vero Beach High School. The guy to my right, well, that's Derek, the other half of the Sideline Radio Show. Thanks for joining us right here on Buzz TV. Coach, big win last week, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about college football. How about Baylor, who's in Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about things just figuring themselves out. As soon as something gets controversial, you know, and as everybody's talking about college football with the playoffs and the top 4 teams and all that goes, and I'd heard a lot of different commentary about the Big 12 getting shafted a little bit, and then here it happens. You know, somebody gets upset, and it. As it usually does, I mean, they end up playing itself out. It ends up playing itself out. So Baylor gets upset, and Oklahoma's only loss this year is to Texas, you know, which is bizarre in itself, right? So it just goes to show that on any given Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you know, anybody can come out on top. That's why we play the games.
That's as we found out on Monday night, as the Texans beat the Bengals, and Andy Dalton wasn't too happy with J.J. Watt's comments. You see that?
No, I didn't see that yet.
He said, what was it? He called him a Red Ryder BB gun.
Oh, yeah?
He said he wanted to keep the sharpshooter down and make him look like a Red Ryder BB gun. It felt like he did that as a unit. So I thought that was pretty good, but you're right. It seems like anybody can win on any given Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I think we've all agreed that so far Clemson looks like the team to beat.
Yeah, I actually had an opportunity. I think I mentioned it on one of the previous shows that I had an opportunity to see them in person in Clemson. They really have it going right now. But, again, there's a lot of talented football. A lot of talented football players, some great coaches out there. So, again, any given Saturday, you just never know.
How much is Ray Hall yelling about Notre Dame being 5 and not 4? Anything yet?
You know what?
Just going crazy? I mean, like, he needs any other reason to go crazy.
Right.
Well, let's get to it. Big playoff win for Vero Beach High School. Looked really good. And now, would you consider that your most complete game as a team? I mean, you looked good in all 3 phases. Coach.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously a very good opponent. I know sometimes, you know, if you weren't at the game or you don't follow it very close, you see the score and it ended up getting pretty lopsided. It may appear that, you know, our opponent wasn't as strong as what we all know to be true. And we had Gateway come in here having a great season. Some very good players, you know, one of the top teams in the Orlando area. And we were able to put it together. I was very pleased. Had a great night offensively. Our defense continues to be a very physical presence and set the tone for us, and made some plays in special teams. So I agree. I think in all 3 phases, I feel like it was, I'd have to say, our most complete game.
Yeah, I wanted to know before we jumped into there, how glad are you that you actually get to play it on the field and not leave the playoffs up to sports writers in the area?
Yeah,
the high school sports was on a polling system. Like, you had to make the top 4 to get into the playoffs. What would that be like as a coach?
Well, you know, you don't like things to be out of your hands, and you hear the college coaches talk about that all the time. Even in high school, I think there are like 2 or 3 different polls. I know that we finished one of the polls at the end of the season, like ranked 2nd in Class 8A, and in the other poll, I think we were ranked 4th, or, you know, maybe lower. So, you know, all that being said, you know, you got just on a much smaller level, on the high school level, just within our state, a couple different polls that see things totally different. And you know, you take this playoff system that the colleges have, and I think that, you know, the one clear message with them all is, you know, really it doesn't matter right now here in mid-November. We'll talk about it when the season concludes, and if there are issues, we'll deal with them at the time. But we still have to play out our season. And it got Baylor, it got TCU a couple weeks ago. Right. So it continues to happen. And now the big debate becomes, you know, who's the best one-loss team? Is it Notre Dame? Is it Alabama? And, you know, you got all that going. So anyway, but to answer your question directly, I'm glad we get to settle it on the field.
And, you know, you get to all base it on district championships or your conference championships, and I want to stay there with Big 12 real quick. They don't have a championship, coach. That's got to hurt them. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're not crowned a champion, how do you move on to play in a championship bracket?
Yeah, it is. You know, you have a governing body, you know, that covers the entire country as far as NCAA football goes, and there are individual conferences that, you know, within the NCAA make their own decisions and make their own rules. Yeah, I think it, you know, depending on which side of the fence you're on, it can either hurt or help you.
Now, I'll tell you, another week, your son Ryan's happy as the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled out another one as Landry limps off, Roethlisberger limps on. How excited was he when that happened?
Yeah, like I told him, we've got the Steelers have a pretty good backup quarterback in Big Ben. So, he came in and appeared to do some pretty good things. So, yeah, I mean, that keeps Ryan on eggshells every Sunday.
It's fun to watch, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Don't get away, when we come back, we're going to break down the game film with Coach Jankowski as we go over the big win over Gateway High School. All three phases, we're going to look at offensive play with Carson Proctor at quarterback, possibly having his best game. I'm going to ask Coach that question. And we'll see how the defense handled number 15, the Michigan State commit, when we come back right here on the Sideline and Buzz TV.
Join us for an adventure weekdays at 4:30 and 8:30 on Buzz TV Network.
Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Jim. Together we are the Live Now real estate team at RE/MAX Associated Realty.
We know the Sebastian area real estate market very well, and we also know that buying or selling a home can be very serious business.
But together we can reduce the stress and even have fun in the process. Along with our hundreds of satisfied clients, we really want you to live now and be happy too.
Contact us at thelivenowteam.com.
See you soon.
Buzz TV Network is now the fastest growing new media outlet on the Space and Treasure Coast. Follow Buzz TV Network and tell a friend.
And welcome back to the Sideline Coaches Show right here on Buzz TV. Thanks for joining us. This is the show that takes you in and out of the huddle, on off the court, off the field, and the locker room, with everything in between the sports world right here in River County and much, much more. So thanks for joining us. This is a segment in which Coach Jankowski is going to break down some of the best plays, sometimes some of the worst plays. I like to sneak them in there just to get his thoughts on it right here during the show. So we're going to go over the Gateway game, and Coach is going to start off right here with Carson Proctor at the helm.
Okay, here we are on offense. I think this is our first drive, and we'll check it out. This is Carson setting up this beautiful screen. You can see all three of these linemen getting out there, dumps it off. He invites the rush to him, dumps it off to Akeem Dixon there, and we got some big linemen there, Ryan Terpstra, Hunter Godwin, these guys getting out there, and then just Akeem just refusing to go down. There's MJ hustling down the field, and they tackle us inside the 10. I think that was a 61-yard catch and run, really, more than anything.
How much of that play is patience on your quarterback letting the play develop?
That's huge. I mean, the timing of screens. I can't imagine anybody working on screens any more than us. I'm sure there are some schools that work on it a bunch, but we spend a lot of time, trying to set the different types of screens. We run a bunch of different types of screens. We call that, our tailback or running back screen, and we run it a bunch of different ways, and the timing is critical. And as you saw, the linemen were out there. Sometimes they get out there and there's not a whole lot of guys to block, and that was the case there. And we got the rush towards Carson. He gets it over and lets Akeem finish it off. This is a little what people would call a wildcat formation. We got MJ taking the snap there. We run a little bit of a funky formation and get the ball to one of our best players, and he finishes it off. Some good blocking there. Chris Larson, Mike Dean in on the block, and obviously our guys up front. Okay, this is, again, it's a formation. We kind of squeeze the formation there. What we mean by that is we get the receivers close to each other, and we catch them in man coverage and get MJ out there on a little bit of a wheel route, and he's wide open. They had a hard time dealing with that with Terrell ran across the formation and caused a little bit of a log jam there. We call it a rub. Okay, here's just a great play by MJ. We call this our rocket sweep. And didn't have great blocking there, but we did some good things. Sean Harvey, Chris Larson on the perimeter with the blocks, and MJ gets to the corner and beats everybody to the pylon.
Seems to make a lot out of nothing sometimes.
He does, yeah. And sometimes it's not plays, but it's players.
Right.
And in that case, I think that proved to be the right way to describe that.
When he
makes a
gets
good play.
wide like that, Coach, how nervous does he make you though? Sometimes when he loses ground to gain a little bit of ground, you got to be like,
You know, sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. With a guy like MJ, he's turned it into positive so often that, you know, occasionally he gets hit for a loss or tries to reverse fields or do something crazy, and it doesn't work out, you know. And so in my experience with it, I just kind of take it and deal with it. And, you know, sometimes you know, we punt and try to do it again. So here it is. We got Akeem actually taking the direct snap here. He fakes it to MJ and cuts back against the grain. Obviously, Akeem's another one of those guys that it's great to have the ball in his hands however you need to do it, and he's running real hard. He's 215-pound sophomore. He's a beast.
Running with authority.
Yeah, running with a bad attitude. All right, here's the defense, and there's Davion Cross and company. Davion had one of his better games. Was all over the field. That's number 15. Their quarterback was a two-way player. Jason mentioned a Michigan State commit. He played corner for them as well on defense, and he made some big plays for them offensively as well. Here's our defense again. There's Big Pat coming in. Patrick and Davion again. Patrick on the sack. Nice to see number 54 there, Leonard Williams, back in the mix. Davion Cross, Romance Snell, Ryan McDonough, all those guys getting involved. Here's a defensive clip again. Okay, they try to go for a screen. Romance Snell is great at, obviously, he gets a lot of practice in our practices defending screens, and had a chance to pick one off there, but I don't know, the ball jumped out at him. I don't know what happened there.
You see the difference is our rush was there so much quicker. You couldn't take any more time as a quarterback.
Right.
So you hit our guy right in the mouth.
And that's the key. You know, Romance is a D lineman, and when you get those defensive linemen at different levels, you know, it can cause some problems in the timing of a screen play. So that was great for that to happen.
Great penetration.
Yep, there we go. So a good pass rush. This is Caleb Coleman on the pick. Hurried the quarterback, and then what he does with it afterwards is pretty impressive. You know, he cuts back against the grain. There's Big Pat hustling down there to make the block, and some of our ball boys excited that we got in the end zone as well. So
yeah, you had a lot of guys in black continuing on with that play where they could easily have just watched that play.
Yeah, you know what? The thing that I get so excited about when I watch our guys play, whether it's live or on film, is and I know you get on Derek about this a lot, Jason, is the effort. And you know, yeah, you know, they're excited. You know, obviously that ball went in the air, it ended up in our hands with Caleb with the pick. And those big D linemen, you see, you know, Patrick Bethel down there hustling to spring him for a touchdown. So
don't go anywhere. More fighting in your football. We come back after this break. Hashtag effort, baby. Right here on the Coaches Show and Buzz TV.
Attention. This important message is for any American who is about to turn 65 years of age or older. Nation's Helpline has Medicare supplement insurance news that may benefit you, your family, or someone you know. Most Americans who are about to turn 65 years old know they need Medicare supplement insurance, even if they already have Medicare. The Nation's Helpline Medicare Supplement Team can guide you and help answer your Medicare questions. Call today.
Please call 800-632-2804.
One-of-a-kind videos, unique perspectives, original programming, only on Buzz TV Network. Spread the word and tell a friend.
And welcome back to the Coaches Show right here with the Sideline on Buzz TV. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our highlight segment there. It's really cool to go in there and break down the game film with Coach Jankowski. You can do that every Tuesday as long as the Fighting Indians are playing. And I think him and his team are looking at 4 more weeks, Coach.
I hope so. I mean, obviously, you know, we talked a little bit briefly about this game coming Friday night. Having to go up to Osceola to play the Kissimmee Osceola Cowboys, and year in and year out, they're one of the teams that are in it. You know, every year they made it to the state championship game last year, and have a lot of those players back. Really is going to be a tough task, but I think our guys are looking forward to it. We've you know, started with a couple great practices, brought the guys in Saturday and Saturday morning, and got them a little workout in, and then obviously yesterday was a great practice for us. So really looking forward to a great week. This is a fun time to be still at it. There's only a couple area teams that are left, and we're fortunate to be one of them. And I think our guys are excited, and I know our coaching staff is as well.
When I played at Vero, Coach Livings just said, "Listen, we're not playing or practicing during Thanksgiving week. You guys haven't done anything." Simple as that. So you're practicing. You're coming up. You got a big game this week. 9-1, the Cowboys were a big rushing team, like we haven't seen that before, with Treasure Coast being all rushing. Fort Pierce Central likes to mix it up. They had over 300 yards rushing against Treasure Coast. So defensively, what do we look like when we come in there and face the Cowboys and try to slow them down?
Well, you mentioned, we've faced some teams like that. Treasure Coast, a predominantly run team. Sebastian River is a run team. So here late in our season, we've faced some of these styles. I would say the difference with their offense in comparison to those two that we just mentioned is that their ability to make these explosive plays. And so although they're a run team, I count multiple explosive plays, and I think a lot of it has to do with not just their offensive scheme, but their players. They've got their fullback is as good as anybody will play. Number 32, their offensive line really gets after it. And then just as you have to commit everybody to play their fullback, they've got a couple guys that they can get on the perimeter, a couple wing backs, slot backs that really do some good things. And so their offense is predominantly a wing T offense, and some of our longtime fans are used to that style of offense. But I think the difference is they sprinkle just enough option game in to really have you working hard, like you say, long nights, and we've been in preparation mode, for the last 72 hours or so, and we'll continue to do that throughout this week, and it's a tough task, but again, I think a lot of it plays into to our strengths and what we like to do defensively.
So now when you get to this level, you said in the break, there's all the teams in here are good teams now.
Right.
Does it come down to styles of play sometimes and matchups, kind of almost like that Rousey fight that just happened? It was a kind of a bad matchup, a stand-up fighter, taller, longer. Do you look at football games that way too, maybe styles?
I think so. We've had the opportunity to match up against Osceola, not this past summer, but the previous couple summers at a team camp. And so we've seen their style, and obviously you're talking about summertime, and summer seems like 3 years ago, and so, but I think styles and tight styles of play are important at this stage. Matchups are critical. I think fans and coaches and players lose their focus if they score compare, because like you say, if you're talking about matchups and styles of play, a score comparison isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. So in this case, I do like the matchups. There are weeks that I look at and I'm like, that's not a good matchup for us. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy task, right, but I certainly do like the matchups. I do think it fits into our style of play. We're playing a very physical style of defense right now. We're clicking in different phases of our offense, and so I think that going into this thing, I'm very pleased with where we're at.
You've been here a while now, and it's tough to say this, but I think, Coach, this might be your best front seven, and at least your deepest on defense. And you're getting Leonard Williams back. How important is that to have a healthy number 54 for you?
It's important. It's critical. Any time, more than anything, is just allowing us to have some depth, have some guys that can rotate in there, and a lot of times, you can have your first level guys, and then if something happens or somebody needs a blow or whatever, there's a big drop off. Right. When you start getting guys back like Leonard Williams and some other guys where we've been thin. I think about things that we talk about at the beginning of the season, where defensive line was a huge strength for us, and the reason it was a huge strength was because of our depth. And then you play a season, and you have different things that happen and different things that go down, and now it's an area that we still feel like it's a strength, but we're very, very thin. So to get Leonard back, it's huge.
As a former defensive player, you never get enough respect. Your defense, you're going to say that all the time, but man, what a great defensive unit you've had. We're going to switch over to the next segment and talk about the offense, but I just wanted to give the defense one more shout out, Coach, because they've played great all season long.
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me is consistency. I think sometimes you can have a great game and then next week not so hot or whatever. And I think with our defense this year, what I've been just most impressed with is our consistency. Our guys go out there each and every week. Our coaches do a great job in preparation because, as you mentioned, being a former defensive player, each week is a new challenge because of the styles of offense. I mean, you have to adapt to the many, many different styles of offense. A lot of times I'll talk to our coaches about this, that I think, you know, being a high school football coach in a lot of ways, that's how it differs from being a college coach. Because in the college game, you know, everybody's kind of doing the same thing right now.
Right.
But in a high school game, you know, this week, you know, we've got to prepare for the wing tee. You know, there aren't many guys on Saturday getting ready to play the wing tee, haven't come out of a spread run team. Right. You know, so it's week in, week out, preparing for the different schemes that we faced offensively. We've got a great defensive staff, and they get our guys ready each and every Friday night.
As a defensive lineman, it's not fun playing a wing team. I can promise you that. When we come back, we're going to look at the offensive side of the ball against the Kissimmee Cowboys, spelled with a K. Still not sure why. Don't go anywhere. It's the Sideline Coaching Show right here on Buzz TV.
Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Jim. Together we are the Live Now real estate team at RE/MAX Associated Realty.
We know the Sebastian area real estate market very well, and we also know that buying or selling a home can be very serious business.
But together we can reduce the stress and even have fun in the process. Along with our hundreds of satisfied clients, we really want you to live now and be happy too.
Contact us at thelivenowteam.com.
See you soon.
And welcome back. It's the fourth quarter. I see you like to coach them.
Yeah.
I'll do it. It's the fourth quarter. It's the last part of the show right here. We're going to break down the offensive side and what we'll see defensively from Kissimmee Osceola as we go and travel over to take on the Cowboys. Coach, what's it looking like? It looks like a 4-3. They vary the coverage a little, man. Maybe some cover 3 here and there. What do you got to do to get on top of these guys?
Well, you mentioned they're a 4-3 defense, and I think, you know, secondary-wise, they like to play what we call quarters and play 4 across, and they're very, very good at it. I think that, you know, the one thing that jumps out at you is their what they do is what they do kind of thing, and there's not a lot of variance from it. They're a team that you know, they pride themselves on playing with a, you know, I'd like to describe, you know, it looks like they play with a bad attitude. You know, they're very physical. They're good at what they do. There's not a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's not a lot of, you know, some people call it flash and different things like that, but what they do is very productive. Defensively, I think that their strength is their defensive line. They're very good in the secondary. I think their linebackers are solid. They're you know, they got a couple young guys in there too, but I think just overall their defensive scheme is very, very solid, and they themselves, you know, everybody's in the 11th, 12th game of their season. Right. They've seen all different types of offenses, so they're well versed. You know, they've got a couple very long safeties, a couple 6'3" safeties. They run around. It's going to be a great football game. I really believe that. I think that you know, we're certainly going to go up there with all intentions of giving our best effort, and I'm sure that we'll get theirs as well.
The fan bus was sold out yesterday?
Well, we got another fan bus, so if our fans are looking to get on that bus, our booster club has set the price at $35, which includes a ticket to the game. They could purchase those tickets for that all-inclusive ticket, I should say, Wednesday during lunchtime. So tomorrow during lunch at Vero Beach High School in the front office. And our lunch is from 11 to 12:15. Any fans that are looking to get on that bus and get a ticket, it's a charter bus, and I think it departs at around 4 o'clock on Friday to the game.
Vero's known for its 12th man. We're going to need each and every one of you as we travel over to take on the Osceola Kissimmee Cowboys. Coach, how big will be Carson Proctor's play behind center for you Friday night?
It's huge. It's always huge. You know, those who follow us, our quarterback play is what gets our offense going, and Carson's having a phenomenal year. You mentioned, I think, off the air that you felt like that could have been his best game as a fighting Indian, and I couldn't agree more. But he continues to play better and better and better each week, and I know sometimes that doesn't always prove its case in the stat line and the stat sheet, but you know, when you look at his body of work and what he's done, I couldn't be more proud. That quarterback position is what makes us go. And we've obviously got some other players that we talk about quite a bit. But I couldn't be more pleased with Carson, and he's been a lot of fun to coach.
It's going to be an exciting football game, Derek.
Yeah, I think. Now, when you talk about Proctor, from the beginning of the season till now, what's been the greatest improvement you've seen in him?
Well, I just think that, the way that he dissects a defense, when we have conversation, when it's early and things are happening early in the season, I think that all that stuff, he's obviously a first-year starter, and although he's very cerebral and very smart kid, I think when it's happening for the first time, it doesn't, the game's a little fast, and I think as it's happened, everything slows down. We were watching film yesterday together, talking about their different coverage schemes, and it's almost like it's like you're talking to another offensive coach, and I think that really has allowed us to do so much offensively, and a lot is on the quarterback position to make it happen, not just pre-snap but post-snap as well. He's having to make a lot of decisions, and some things that happen. There's a lot of talk about quarterbacks back in the day calling their own plays.
Right.
Well, the way our offense is, a lot of those decisions, the call comes in from the sideline, but Carson's having to decide on sometimes whether to throw it or to run it, sometimes whether to throw a screen or throw a ball down the field. I mean, he's deciding those things. So there's a lot of built-in, what some people would call audibles, that's on Carson, and he's a great decision maker, and it's great to have a guy like that back there.
It's also nice to have 4, 5, 6 different options he can choose from too, Coach.
No doubt.
All right, real quick, in a minute or less, what are the 3 biggest keys to get a Fighting Indian victory on Friday night?
I think, when you play a team like this where if they're not scoring, they're eating clock up offensively, that every possession that we have offensively is that much more critical. And we've talked about it, against previous opponents, that it never has bothered me. The time of possession is not a big stat for me. I'm not a big time of possession guy, but I do recognize the significance, importance of the offensive possessions and how critical they'll be for us. So taking advantage of the offensive possessions, I think maybe stealing an offensive possession, whether it be through turnover, something in special teams, I think will be critical if we can get an extra offensive possession. And then I think, as always, I think there will be plays made in special teams. And I think that in a game like this, where the two big phases of the game that everybody talks about, and we've spent a lot of time talking about today, are going to be critical, but the game may be decided in the special teams play.
Big game, 7:30 kickoff. Kissimmee Osceola and the Fighting Indians going over to take on the Cowboys. Big game. I'm excited. I can't wait. I know, Coach, it's only Tuesday, but I'm ready right now. That's going to do it for us. Don't go, or I'll see you back here next week, right here on the Sideline Coaches Show and Buzz TV.
Now that health reform is law, you cannot be denied health insurance coverage, but you can pay too much.
As a single mom, I was convinced that we could not afford health insurance until I spoke to the people from ICANN, who told me that I qualified for a special enrollment and a subsidized rate. Now I get so much more for so much less.
Call now and get the ICANN mobile app free. So don't wait another minute. Call ICANN, get covered, save money.
Get them out, hold them up. That's your Sideline Pass is good now, right here on Buzz TV, coming to you every Tuesday through Friday, where we'll have a coach's show with Coach Jankowski as we break down all that's happening with Vero Beach High School football.
And then we're also going to have the Sports Buzz show, where we're going to talk about local and national trending topics.
And maybe some of his diet and how not to eat like him. Be like me, coming straight out of Indian territory. It's the Sideline Show, and you can find us right here on Buzz TV.